Hey, this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. This week I am back at my usual time at 1800 UTC, 2000 Central European time, and we are back to run some trains on the computer only, not in the real world, obviously. And AJ Black subscribed to Tier 1. They have been subscribed for 33 months. Isn't that great? Thank you so much, AJ. And woohoo, CD Raider is here. So nice to see you, guys. It's been a hard day for me so far because it's so warm and I am truly knackered. Nevertheless, we should not fail to do our train driving, our stream, and so on. My disclaimer, as always, got the DLCs for free from DTG for being an ambassador. For what it is worth, thankful I am at any rate for getting the DLCs for free. What I'm telling you is, as always, my unfiltered opinion. What are we going to do today? Moin, Akura. Super nice to see you too. I think we are going to Birmingham Crewe. Why are we going to Birmingham Crewe? Because this part of the West Coast mainline is, according to the route map, to be enriched with 2 more routes that we should get sometime soon within the next 3 months. And this always makes some sense to look into the status quo and what is happening there. And this is why I thought we can run some nice trains in this and actually have a roundup of all the routes that we have in the part of England that is more or less north of London. The Midlands, the Western Midlands, Wales, Anglia, and around Birmingham, Manchester, and maybe we can even talk about what status those routes in, what needs to be done, and so on. Busy month, the City Raider. Well, yeah. Has it been for you also a busy month? For me, it is actually a super busy month, and I'm still not really done with all the stuff that I have to do. So, that's it. And the weather is nice as it is, but it is actually draining so much energy. So, as you can see, I've also driven some Birmingham Cross City trains to look at that route again, what it looks like under train symbol 6. Very busy and exhausting for you. Oh yeah, then we can share this feeling. But I'm happy that it is nice weather finally. So I know that you enjoy the hot, warm and summery weather more than I usually do. I actually live up when the sun is starting to sink in summer. And, well, yeah. And I always like the spring, I always like the autumn, but the summer bit in between is always hard for me. So what should we do? We actually have 2 timetables on Birmingham Crewe. The route has been fixed with updates since its release, and at least for me it is running much more smoothly than it used to run. Why do we have 2 timetables? Because one of them is the original timetable, the other one is the one with the 805 Evero train. We have some 323 services running here, not so few actually, most of them yard moves though, but some of them are actually going all the way to Wolverhampton. We have some rail tour services for the old electrics. We have some special services for, well, that is not much, that are only yard moves for the Sprinter Express or the Welsh sprinters. There are some services mainly between Wolverhampton and Birmingham, going on to Dundee in this case. Out of the map, obviously. The Turbo Stars do a lot of traffic here between Wolverhampton and Birmingham. And obviously the Zeros, that was the DLC that brought us the 350/1, 350/2, 350/2, with the British Transport Police livery, and the Stroke 3 version. And obviously also the normal Stroke 2 version without the British Transport Police. For example, today I visited the offices of SCS Software, creators of Euro and American Truck Simulators, as part of the Open House Festival. Oh, that sounds super interesting. How far did you have to travel? Are they in Prague, the offices there? Or did you actually have to travel a lot to get there? Yes, they are in Prague. Interesting. A lot of nice and beautiful and impressive things in Prague. Obviously, the 390 is also running on this DLC, and we have the shed running there. Not the Class 90 at the moment, what is a bit sad. The 86, what is the local DLC for the Just Trains, Shap Summit, the West Coast Mainline, Preston to Carlisle DLC. Comes also with possibility to run it as rail to services, just like the Steam Locust, the Jubilee, and the Scotsman, and Alan Thompson's shed from the Manchester airport is always sticking out like a sore thumb. Does not want to go into file with all the other shits that we have from whatever DLCs there are in the game. Services are not always the same for the different 66s. Some have a lot of movements, some only very limited services. So this is not very easy to understand what services you can run with your Class 66. So this is the original timetable, and then we have the modern timetable, and this is probably not so much different from the other timetable that we have. Some trains are cut out. Well, I don't actually know how to call this color here from the regional railways livery for the 323. That was a local DLC at the time when the Cross City route was published. And this is running this modernized timetable at any rate. At least it is in that foreground here. And the Evero is the train that is coming in here on this route. The Pendolino Class 390/1 and /0, different versions with different number of cars in the trains, and they have different stopping patterns, so they are actually more or less running different services. So Birmingham to Crewe, that's Drive for Starters, one of them, from Birmingham to Crewe. What do you guys think of 4-up challenges on the channel here? Would you be part of something like this? CD Radar, Aqua, 8J. Yeah, that we actually drive together like the guys at DTG sometimes do that split screen for screen, and we're driving more or less the same service. You're streaming to me via Discord. I put it together and yank it out from my channel. I thought this might be fun, actually. That would be interesting to see the radar, so you'll be up for it. That's great. Yeah. So if we could find at least 3 okay, sounds interesting, says Aqua. Okay, so 2 of my enormous viewership of 2 people at the moment are actually game. That would be great. So maybe we should pursue it then. I don't really have anything proper to give away at the moment. If that would grow or be a thing, then maybe I can ask the guys from Dovetail Games if they want to contribute or even take part. At any rate, I thought it couldn't hurt to make what we're doing on the channel here a little bit more interactive and to freshen it up a bit. A lot of things need to be switched on. On the Pendolino train, if we want to go through the TAS self-test, then we have to put the reverser into forward, even though we are still waiting for the passengers to board. Juniper, hey, finally caught you again. Nice to see you. So, can go back to neutral now that we are through the TAS self-test. Okay, this reminder does not really make any sense for us. How are you all doing? Yeah, for me, I can tell you that I'm beat because of the weather and the amount of stuff that I'm doing. But apart from that, I think it is safe to say all is well. How are you doing? Very hot over there too. It is really hot. This time of spring, where you think it is just May, but it is really well. It is not August-like hot, obviously, but oh, we should actually turn on the lights. And then hope for a green. It's 3 degrees over average, says Aqua. Oh, well, I feel each and every one of those 3 degrees. So, are we not getting a green light? Oh, is this a competition to see who gets the most points? I don't play for points, I have them turned off. Actually, I thought about doing it as a competition for points, but actually, maybe it's just for fun riding along each other. We can't stop the game from scoring points. And maybe at some point in time we can, if there is anything to give away, we could do that. But actually, I would find it more relaxing to just drive alongside. So, am I not getting a green light if I don't close my doors? That would be sad, actually. And Juniper says to Aqua maybe, but 15 degrees and rain all week to 31 and sunshine all week is quite the change. Yeah. And there is actually a train coming in. Maybe this is the reason why we're not getting a green. The tracks going into Birmingham New Street over there, they are not always so super easy to understand which train is going what path. And CD Raider says, I don't want to be picky, but we can drive together on SimRail. This is another thing that we should do again. Definitely. My idea was actually to find out if we can do something of that kind with Train Sim World 2. And having a more, well, interactive world in the in our streams could not hurt actually. There's been a lot of talk if DTG could actually take ambassadors on their 4-up challenges that they do sometimes. Well, I guess they are quite reluctant to do that. So why not take it into our own hands? So what do you think, guys? Should I just close my doors so that we can leave the station here? Or will we finally get a green that allows us to close the doors in accordance with the rules? Doesn't really look as if there is a lot of stuff blocking, but you can see a green here that is probably not meant for us, or is it? Oh, there is... no, this train is not crossing our path. Here is a green, but for the opposite direction. I wonder what the signaler is waiting for. You have to close it to update the objectives, the CD radar. Probably you are right. Then just let's role play that we got a special permission from this is the button, not the selective reclose. Now it switched. And now it wants us to unlock the doors. Okay. And we were talking about what status the game is in and the DLC is in. There is one point that could be improved. At any rate, we are not stopping until we get to Crewe, so we are running the whole line without any stop, even though we are a passenger service and not an empty coach move. Just Trains in World thinks the city ready. Yeah, there are actually services where it works properly. You get into this additional unlock door sequence that runs past you quite fast, and then the signal changes, and then you can close your doors, and here it waits for you to close the doors, and then it tells you to open the doors again. But I think it was quite obvious that we had to wait for the signals to change. That we had to close the doors, because otherwise we could have waited until the reset of the timetable. Apparently we're actually stopping trains. For a moment it looked like the game was frozen. How long is my train, by the way? Oh, 11 cars. They're really long. 300 yards. Means we have to pass beyond that signal most probably before we can accelerate to the 50 that the sign announced at the entrance of the tunnel. But then let's see how much time we can actually make up when rushing to Crewe without any stop in between. Most probably they will throw us a temporary speed restriction on the high-speed bits. Anyway, here's the next train that can't come into the station, so maybe we will actually pass a lot of stranded trains that are inbound. If I remember correctly, I have seen more of that happening. And we are in super heavy fog all of a sudden. That was actually the last time the Train Sim World released a train with a new safety system that was not in Train Sim World before. So now I'm speeding, because 65 is the limit. dreaming of TUS when there is no TUS yet. This livery is just so colorful. Let's turn the frame counter on and let's see what our station is doing. That used to be an FPS sync. After release, I think it is doing well now. Love it, that colorful one, Sasako. Yeah, I actually love it too. But it's really, really out of the ordinary. And here, now we're getting proper frame rates, even when passing Rolfe Street. Next is Galton Bridge, where we're passing. Now we can accelerate to 75. Next station that we are prone to pass is Dudley and Sandwell, if I remember correctly. And at the end of the straight past the station, we have to slow down to 60. There is a signal, there is a 60 sign, if my route knowledge does not deceive me. Yes, the signal coming out of the fog, and there is the 60 sign, yes. Around this S-shaped corner. Then we can go back to 75 after our 11 cars have passed. Next station to pass will be Dudley Port. the port. And then it's Tipton or Tipton, I never know. After this loop area here. And here is another drop to 60. As soon as we're through the corner. Here's the 75 sign. The thing with more and more routes being released that actually connect, that have the same stations at their ends, it actually makes you wish for some system that allows you to just drive without stopping and changing routes on and on and on. Coseley, we are passing here. And now the last bit to Wolverhampton. On this part you often get a temporary speed restriction. Not today, as it seems. You have to give it to this train, the Pendolino, that the humming and rolling sound is super soothing. Now we're getting closer to the point where we get the morpeth board for the 30 drop on the bridge to Wolverhampton. That was the morpeth board. One signal. And as soon as you see the yellow railing of the bridge that is to come here, we should start braking so that we get to a smooth slow down to 30 until we hit the beginning of the bridge. Here's the beginning of the bridge. There is an overspeed loop. And shortly before the banner repeater, there is the 30 sign. And now we have to slow down to 15, and Aqua says, yeah, that's right, but I prefer that rather rattly and noisy commuter trains. I can feel you. So do you also like driving the underground trains? Because that is the non plus ultra of noisy and rattling trains. And I always loved doing this on the Bakerloo line. Through Bakerloo. Fast, rattly. You get to be really familiar with your brakes though, otherwise you cannot keep up with the timetable. Just imagine doing this with a Crocodile and the Donnerbüchsen cars. What we're doing right now is quite rare. Going through a Wolverhampton station without stopping. One of the Turbo Star units with West Midland train sitting there. West Midland train livery we will probably meet again on one of the new trains for the Trent Valley DLC. That is on the roadmap. And oh, now the fog was switched off. That is also a thing that needs to be addressed in the core game. That fog can come slowly, but it typically vanishes with a bang. Here you're always going downhill, so until your train is actually out of the 15 limit, you're always prone to overspeed. So it's 55 first. And then it's 60. Well, first we have to go across the bridges and merge with another line. And then we can accelerate even more before we are passing Penkridge and get to Stratford. And finally to Crewe. Here is this merge with the junction with the other line. Merging on, and 90. As soon as our 11 cars have passed. So 90, 110, 110, and we have split supervision from TAS. That means we don't need to pick the 110 for the multiple units, and now it's even 125. We can use the 110, respectively the 125 for the TAS. So it does not really make any difference whether we have TAS supervision or not. We can go 125 just because we are a multiple unit. But there is no Zuglängenmesssystem or any kind of axle counter. I don't think so. If there are axle counters, then only for Gleisfreimelde-Zwecke, so to see if to replace track circuits to see if the track is clear, but not in connection with the TAS supervision. If I'm not mistaken, that is. But now we are ready to tilt. Obviously not on the straight and narrow, but in the bends. Now we're prone to pass Penkridge anytime soon. Maybe we can get Ronnie on board and do a 4-up challenge with a nice ETA service. And even if you're not a real life train driver, if you're interested in this thing with doing some sort of a 4-up non-challenge, but 4-up drive together, then let me know on Discord. So we can figure out who and when and stuff. So now we have to start slowing down again. We're not getting a mobile board or equivalent. But when we see this house in the background and at the same time the series of overpasses, we have to prepare for a drop to 90 somewhere at the 6th or 8th You don't have any ECE routes? Okay, well, the idea obviously would have been to start with a British route, since we have done so many British routes at the moment. Here is the drop to 90, even for our TAS. 95 it is for TAS. Trains. But we have to drop to 60 then later. Before we enter Stratford. Maybe if there is an ECE in the Trent 5 standard. Oh my god, what was that? What German route did we have in ECE in Trent 5? Now we're getting signals actually. Double yellow. Coasting with the 60. Until we don't, as long as we don't get a single yellow, we can coast with a 60. Here's the 60 limit for the line speed. TAS ended, blue light ended. Single yellow. This other Pendolino is getting very close to us. But luckily it's not like in the Manchester Airport DLC, where there is a spot where two trains coming from opposite directions can actually hit each other. Seems like it cleared. And we can go out of the station again. Probably the limit for the switches here is 30 or 25, not entirely sure, we'll see. Also, your suggestions for what we can do in this 4-up challenge. I'm open for everything. It is. We have to make our way over to the line. That will be part of the Trent Valley DLC. We're back on TAS supervision. That means we can go to 125, and here we need it because otherwise we'd be stuck to 110. There is no special speed restriction for MUs. Now to the 125 to Crewe. London Victoria to Birmingham by Gatwick. Good compromise between commuter and HST. How are we supposed to get from Victoria to Birmingham by Gatwick? That sounds interesting, but next thing that we need to know is that there is a limit to 110 again before we can go with 125. Brighton, you mean? No. London Victoria to Brighton by Gatwick. That would make sense. I don't think we can get anywhere else in Trainsim World at the moment. Brighton, yes, sure. Yeah, always. Here's the limit to 115 that I talked about for this junction. Very fast, the zero coming from the opposite direction. And as soon as we're clear of this junction area, we can actually accelerate beyond the 115. And that's the marker for that. Just have to pass it with our 11 cars. And now we can put the foot down. Yeah, I'd totally be up for it. London Victoria to Brighton, London Commuter, or as it is called, Brighton Main Line, London Victoria to Brighton nowadays. Sandwell 2 rush hour route. Always been one of my favorites. You're up for it, City Radar? Old but gold, yeah, totally. Maybe one that should get a remastered anytime soon, so that they can also free that poor signal that is still locked behind the brick wall. And will ever be there. +1 remaster, yes. Yeah, here is our limit to 40. And usually it is totally not a problem to slow down to 40. Unless you have to slow down from 125. Bang! Here we are. Actually, the task turns off. And now it turns on again. Temporary speed restrictions under TAS. That's another topic. Get this fortress up to speed again. We have still 12 miles to go until we get to Crewe. Now the magnet for the opposite direction. That should not be here, but somewhere else. Or cancelled by a cancellation indicator. Now we're at the summit, grading more or less, and now it's downhill to Crewe. Train was going out of the tilt, going into the tilt. And close call, but being late less than 7 minutes is still on time, I was told. Alright. You should be able to make this. Until the signals pull us down. Like they are doing right now. When traveling 125 and get double yellow, it's usually advisable to slow down. Well, given the fact that nobody cleared us for departure before we closed our doors, our delay is still acceptable, I should say. Most probably we're approaching an approach control signal. It is red, we can see it from here already. We can't see the AWS magnet. Now we do. So do we actually have to stop? Or will it clear on approach? It clears on approach, very nice. And sends us to track 11. Don't we know dass Störungen im Betriebsablauf? Yes, I guess. Some disruption within our services. So did I not pick this timetable so that we can meet an Evero? Or we did not really see a lot of Everos. Actually, it's 20. At Crewe, going to platform 11. I thought 25 and I'm good, but we're not. At least we don't have to do the 15 for the bay platforms. Here we are. We made up some time actually compared to when we started driving after force closing the doors, and we are not more than 7 minutes late altogether. So that was this service here. I actually missed the 110 limit here too. I thought it is okay to drive according to the signals, but the limit starts earlier here, apparently, for this route. So, route knowledge can still be optimized. But it's a cool and calming drive with the Pendolino here on Birmingham Crewe. And now it's time for today's presentation, what is a bit of a roundup of what routes we have. In this nice part of the United Kingdom, and what we can expect in the months to come according to May's roadmap. So, I don't have to explain too much. Let's have some geography and let's see where the trains are actually running around that we can drive in Train Sim World 6 at the moment. I actually tried to get all the routes that more or less are on this part of the map. You can see this is London here, Bristol, Birmingham, Manchester, Sheffield, Leeds, Liverpool. Just to get some sort of orientation. Here the Humber estuary with Hull, and here parts of Cumbria in the Yorkshire, the Moors National Park, Wales on this side. And let's see what lines we actually can drive in Train Sim World 6 so far. I tried to get it a bit in the order of when they were released. The first one being the Great Western Express, London Paddington to Reading. You can see that the Great Western main line actually goes on much longer until it finally gets to Bristol. And the Northern Transpennine, one of the routes that in my opinion needs to get a remaster because it is a beautiful route. Manchester and then through the Pennines to Leeds, Manchester Piccadilly, that is. Southeastern High Speed from London St Pancras with the Javelin and with the Dartford extension that we got at some time to Feathersham here. Ashford is not on the map anymore. Brighton Main Line, that's the line that Akura was talking about, London Victoria, all the way to Brighton to the southern coast. We don't see it here. We would need to do a second map with the lines south of London, more or less, to see where it ends up with Brighton connecting with the East Coast Coastway DLC. Yep, just to get the idea. Birmingham Cross City was the first line in Birmingham that we got in Train Sim World 6 with 2 different stations in the south and then running through Birmingham New Street where we started the service today. Glossop line for Manchester, a little line, was released in the era of Train Sim World 3, I think. Also with the 323 train. Then the Midlands line, Leicester to Derby and Nottingham. One of, well, the lines and route DLCs that are a bit ill-received and need some fixing and remastering too. East Coast Main Line, then Peterborough Doncaster as the core route of, was it Transcendental 4, I guess. Blackpool branches, then when just trains came into play with the connection from Preston to Ormskirk and Blackpool North and Blackpool South, and also the Burn and Naas connection that I did not actually mark it out, but it is in the DLC. To be fair, Preston Carlisle, the Great West Coast Mainline DLC, also by Just Trains, and sit back in time a bit. London Euston, Milton Keynes, Trans World 5, I guess, was that for the West Coast Mainline. West Coast Mainline starting here at London Euston and going here beyond Milton Keynes through the Trent Valley, and then picking up at where we were driving around Stafford and then Crewe, and then finally branching between Stoke-on-Trent, Manchester, and the other part to get to Preston, and then on Cardiff City Network in Wales. You can see how small that actually is in comparison. Different color because those are steam trains. Liverpool to Crewe, different era. Also steam trains. Peak Forest route here, more or less connecting the Manchester area with the Derby and Nottingham area. West Somerset Railway is located here, and Somerset obviously only that little bit between what is it, Dunster and Minehead. That is probably on the map here. Manchester Airport, Alan Thompson simulation failed to connect it to Crewe at this point here, unfortunately. This is why in the DLC that we're playing here, there is a bus replacement to go to Alderley Bridge or whatever this station is called. London Overground, we talked about the Suffragette line and Mildmay line is in the game represented, and in the Trains and Road 6 era we already got the West Coast Mail and Birmingham Crewe that we just drove at the moment from Birmingham New Street via Wolverhampton, finally Stratford, and then to Crewe, connecting up here. And what we also got in Trains and Road 6 era is the Medway Valley line, connecting Strood with that part of the Chatham Main Line. What we still are supposed to get according to the roadmap is the West Coast Main Line Crewe to Preston, Just Trains. That fits in with a part Preston to Carlisle and the Blackpool branches. And what I'm really excited about is the Trent Valley that connects all that bit here between Milton Keynes and Crewe. So doubling that part between Stafford and Crewe and adding all that part here that it runs in the Trent Valley, connecting with the northern end of the Birmingham Cross City, Lichfield Trent Valley here, and more than 100 miles high-speed running through the Midlands from Milton Keynes, and then we have actually London Euston, the whole West Coast Main Line up until Carlisle to Glasgow. Then there is a gap. Glasgow Edinburgh we have, it's not on the map anymore, and then, well, we would have to go a long gap between Edinburgh and Doncaster to go back via the East Coast Main Line to London King's Cross. That would be the case, right? What's also new on the roadmap, what nobody here heard before, is the Thames Valley lines. What is a new idea? It is not actually an interconnected lines, but it's 3 standalone mini lines that play around the western part of the Great Western Express DLC at Slough and different stations there. If that works out will be interesting. I'm not so super convinced, but on the other hand, I like that they are rounding up that part. How big the DLC will be interesting to see. It's promised according to the roadmap within the next 3 months. We will see when we hear, if we hear more of that. Actually, a lot of DLCs that have the term valley in it, don't confuse them. Trent Valley is the big one between Milton Keynes and Crewe. Thames Valley are those 3 little side lines, branch lines, and the Medway Valley obviously has already been released. Super pretty DLC, but in a totally different area of the country. Yeah, that is what is on the roadmap at the moment, and what we can be hyped about will definitely be interesting. Also on the roadmap, and what we can be hyped about, is the Richmond extension to the Mildmay line, what would connect Williston Junction to Richmond, hence the name. This is not a standalone DLC, it should be a free expansion to the Mildmay line. That is a DLC in its own. Anything more that we can expect? No, I think that is already quite a lot. And terrain-wise, we know that in the Birmingham Crewe we got 3 D0s, the class 350/1, /2, and /3. Not a train that I'm so super fond of, especially since the brakes are still a bit weird, but this might actually only be my incompetence to drive this train properly. And here, the missing version, the 350/4, is supposed to be in the Trent Valley DLC, from what you can read on what has been revealed so far. Probably not in this green and white livery, because according to my knowledge, at any rate, the 350/4s were originally trains for the Northern Transpennine, so they used to be blue then, I guess, but later then sold to West Midlands, so that they should be orange, more or less now. White, orange, black, like the Turbo Stars that we have from West Midlands trains already. Yeah. And then we have all the subclasses for the D0 350 in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Train-wise, it is quite close to the 350/3, I guess. The 805 Evero was already, or has already been released as a standalone local DLC, and together with the Trent Valley we should get also the 807 Evero train, that is a 7-car variant to go with the 5-car variant. That is already in the game, and it is, from at least from what I looked up at the time, it is a electric only train. It is not a bimodal multiple unit, but a real electric multiple unit, and that should be in the Trent Valley. Those 2 trains for the West Coast Main Line Trent Valley DLC, that is on the roadmap for to be released within the next 3 months. We will see. Will be interesting. Train-wise, for the Crewe Preston, or Preston Crewe DLC, together for our ubiquitous 47/4 that we have in super many DLCs so far. You're supposed to get a /3 version. That is a freight version with slow speed control. That is not in the /4 version. What liveries, I don't know, we will see. And on the electric front, to accompany the class 87 and the class 86/2 that are already in the Preston Carlisle DLC, as far as the 87 is concerned, or a standalone local DLC for Preston Carlisle, the 86/2. We're supposed to get to the 86/4, what is a version of the 86 with Lexicoil suspension. We'll see if we can actually feel that in in the game then, whether the suspension feels different from the other DLCs, because they are the other locos. After they got flex coil suspension refitted sometime in the 1980s. Yeah, that's my hype about what is going to happen on the West Coast main line, according to the roadmap soon, and in the Thames Valley and the Richmond extension. As soon as we get there, as soon as we get any other fixes, updates, I think I will come back to that so that we can maybe keep track on what lines, what routes are being worked on, where there is actually something fixed or updated. Will be interesting to see. And I don't know about you, but when I look at maps like this and how the DLCs and routes connect, it is so sad that there is no system that you can drive from London Euston without stopping all the way to Carlisle, even if you get into a different area. Then maybe in the next incarnation of Train Simulator, Simbrail can do it, and we should play some Simbrail at some point in time. AJ is right. But we will see, and we will play the new DLCs anyway. That was my presentation for today. I always like to round up what is already in the game. Always a bit sad if after the hype of a new DLC, is forgotten faster than the first patch can be thrown out. And yeah, okay. Let's drive another service on the Birmingham to Crewe. Maybe the modern timetable. Maybe a Voyager or some rattling sprinter. Maybe that one. 20 minutes from Wolverhampton to Birmingham. Let's try that one. And thank you, CD Radar, for deleting that message. Starting at Wolverhampton at a red signal. Marker lights, instrument lights, headlight. We have to decide whether we want the one to the left or to the right. Since it is day, it is typically the one to the right, even though we are sitting on the right track here. We are going to run on the left side typically. We can open the doors even if the light is red. In this train, the Sprinter 150 Rogue 2 version, we don't have a driver-only control for operating the doors as far as I can see. Safety systems, we need that switch here and then that switch for the AWS. And then I think we should be good. Yeah, looks good. The only bot we sort of tolerate here is Sifa. Yes. We only tolerate a Sifa bot. The Sifa lady. Oh, I would like to have this fan in real life. Let's see if we can leave this station here without violating the rules about not closing the doors unless we have a proceed aspect on the signal. It's open. Open the window on top of everything. And now it's green actually. Now we can close the doors. We're not getting a signal. Alright.
Wolverhampton, Birmingham New Street, Worcestershire Parkway.
Oh. What did I do? What Tiger always forgets, the array. Rookie move. Once I don't forget setting it, then I most certainly forget unsetting it. Train is from the Cardiff City Network DLC. This is what we have. The Welsh livery for it. It actually makes sense because trains from Birmingham via Wolverhampton can go on to Llandudno in northern Wales. Is that rattly enough for you, Akura? Or still too smooth for your liking? Sandwell and Dudley is our stopping pattern. So I think we can go full throttle here. Voyager coming from the opposite direction. It's quite fine. So, if we have to stop at Sandwell and Dudley, that means we can run through Coseley and through Tipton and through Dudley Port. With a bit of luck we can actually get to the 75 miles that are allowed here before we have to slow down to the 60 again. So closely. And in the next bend there is a drop to 60. And our fog is back. Here's the 60 drop. Back to 75. Passing Tipton. Loop area. Be at Dudley port soon. Pendolino. Next drop to 60. Here it is. And rolling into Sandwell and Dudley. A little late, this time not because of the signal, but because of myself. It's not the dummy, yes, and it's only seconds. Well,
Birmingham International. The train at platform 1 is the 0921. Transport for Wales service to Birmingham International. Calling at Birmingham International only. Will passengers intending to travel on this service please join the train now, as it is ready to leave. Platform 1 for the 0921 Transport for Wales service to Birmingham International, which is ready to leave. The next train to arrive at platform 2 will be the 0923 West Midlands Railway service to Wolverhampton, calling at Sandwell and Dudley Port, Tipton.
actually, we're not going to
Wolverhampton,
Birmingham International, even if it says so. We're going to Birmingham New Street.
West Midlands Railway service to Wolverhampton. Platform 2 for the 0923 West Midlands Railway service to Wolverhampton, calling at Dudley Port, Tipton, Coseley, and Wolverhampton. The train at platform 2 is the
So what I like in this DLC here is actually that you have a lot of different services with different stopping patterns, with different ceiling speeds. You can use the Voyager, you can use the 323, you can use the Turbo Star, you can use the Sprinter, Super Sprinter, Sprint Express, plus the rail tour locomotives. The Pendolino, the Evero. That's a lot of diversity, train-wise, stopping pattern-wise. And high speed, ceiling speed wise. That was for you, Akura. The colorful thing again. Approaching the drop to 65, what does not hurt us too badly. Galton Bridge. Approaching Rolfe Street. Still 65. And now past the Soho depot and into Birmingham New Street. Did someone say full hard? Who said something about full hard? You, without even spending type of horse on it, someday I'll have all 100k. Full HD, that's the only that you get. I heard 10k. Well, you can spend your 10k in a better way than turning on the full HUD. Not to mention that you already have 400k. I'm sure you do. And I appreciate, niemand hat vor die Full HUD zu erzwingen. Walter Ulbricht. Oh no, this does not bode well. In case you guys are too young to understand what he's talking about, Walter Ulbricht, head honcho of the German Democratic Republic at the time, announced the construction of the Berlin Wall with the words, "Nobody intends to build a wall." And that is famous for, if people say unasked what they are not intending to do, it sometimes reveals exactly what they are intending to do. So, next to our geography lesson, we also have our daily history lesson. Thanks to Acura. And we are limited to 10 miles. AWS is not operational in the station area. And we have to crawl. Let's check the frame rate here. Crawl into Birmingham New Street on our Welsh Sprinter train. And we arrived at Birmingham New Street.
The next train to arrive on platform 8, either open
Look what this signal is now showing. Why does it do that? Because we are in this weird stopping position just a couple of meters past the signal.
West Midlands Railway service to Lichfield, Trent Valley. Platform 1 for the 0939. Transport for Wales.
And CD Raider says I don't have to worry about Full Hut not missing me. He's just saving it for something special. All right. At any rate, I got our train home from Wolverhampton to Birmingham New Street without speeding, even though I was a bit late. I guess that's the stream for today, guys. Thank you for joining, bearing with me. Give it a thought whether we can have a run along, run with the tiger, 4-up challenge without a challenge. If you're interested, then maybe we should host something like this, and maybe it's developing into something with a bit more interactiveness on the channel. The idea again is you stream your stream to me via Discord. I would make a special room for it, and then I put it, and then we all meet in Liberec. Yes, why not? Maybe first from London, Victoria to Brighton, and then we are driving Liberec with a full run on Liberec. Let me know your thoughts on Discord, and then we might figure something out where we can do this. Have the greatest of weeks, and let's hope that we won't have temperatures like this all summer, or even more. I'm already looking forward to autumn. Anyway, now let's enjoy what we have, and let's see what we get. Maybe with an affiliate link. Maybe with an affiliate link, yeah. I can't do that. I don't want to do it, and it's actually not a secret that there is a lot of discussion in the community about the role of ambassadors, whether we are just amplifiers for DTG propaganda, or if we are doing anything positive at all for the community, or if we are just enjoying our free keys for not doing anything. Sweet talking every piece of shit that is released. No, it's not. And actually, I think it is a great opportunity to connect between the community and the developers, even though many avenues have not really been explored yet. And maybe with more interactiveness on the ambassador channels, we can actually get more connection there. Maybe I find one or two guys from Dovetail games who can take part in that at some point in time. We will see. I will definitely ask them. If they don't wanna, then they don't need to. For real, I'm fine without affiliate links, and I'm totally fine without them too. I'm so happy that you're bearing with me so often, usually every Sunday night, and I will be back most probably next Sunday night, and we will see what we're doing then, and what has happened then, what has been released, what dates have been released, and how the roadmap changed until then. Enjoy life, enjoy the game, and try to make everything a bit better every day. Greatest of times. See you guys. Bye bye.